Robert here is very well versed in both U.S. market structure, both equity and options. He's here to talk us through this paper that that's titled "Can Brokers Have It All?" That once it was released, it triggered a U.S. Senate hearing on payment for order flow, and it's been recently published in the Journal of Finance. Just as last time, immediately following the presentation, there may be an opportunity for grabbing coffee. We will have a panel discussion, and we're going to wrap get you out of here by 2:30, just so you have a sense of timing. With that, please welcome Robert.
Thanks
Thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And if you have questions, please just stop me along the way. Okay. This is stuff. So yeah, this is 2-3 years old, but it's stuff that we continue to research in different venues, and we're pushing this. And so some of those ideas will come out during the talk too. So it didn't just stop here. So what got us onto this is this guy in Traders Magazine in 2010 made the comment that he had found a way to monetize his order flow 100% and pay for every single order. The way he did this was by routing market orders to firms like Citadel, which is legal in the U.S., get paid for every single one of those, and route limit orders to the venue that would offer the highest rebates. And by doing that, he was able to double the amount of revenue they generated from selling order flow. So in fact, if you compare what Schwab earns from selling order flow and what Ameritrade gets about twice. And the reason is because of the aggressive nature of Ameritrade. And so, because I've been in this for many, many years, it got me thinking that, gee, it has to have an impact on the performance of standing orders when you do this type of thing. Concurrently, I've been reading some research by Goldman Sachs and others, and they were explaining kind of in very narrow ways how this impacted execution quality in the institutional world. Okay? And so I'm going to do a little bit of the background. This is kind of what the story is and why it might matter whether or not you route your orders one place or different standing order. And then I'll talk a little bit about what we actually did in the paper. So if you have questions, again, let me know. So this is pretty much true today also in the U.S. There's 3 inverted venues. So these venues are the inverted venues. We'll talk about what that means in a second. And these are the ones that charge take fees that are positive. These venues, if you just take a snapshot, when every venue is offering to buy at 10, so there's a tie, everybody has the same price, where queue length's the longest. And you can see that the queue lengths are longest on the 5 venues to my right, which are the 5 venues, we'll see in just a second, that charge people when they come in and take liquidity. The venues with the shortest lines are going to be the venues that offer rebates when liquidity demand is low. So right off the front, this seems a little bit strange. You would think maybe lines would, if you had people actually submitting the orders and paying the fees and getting the rebates, you might expect something a little bit different here. What kind of stocks are we talking about that have this everybody at the same price, at least in the U.S.? SiriusXM, Ford, Bank of America, lower price stocks, less intraday volatility, higher volume. Okay. I can tell you we're doing work in the options market right now, high volume options. Options have a low price. Tick size is relatively big. Happens there too. Okay. So anytime tick size is going to be binding and you have high volume, lots of different venues, you'll get these types of trading conditions. I believe it's in the paper, over 300 stocks at this time had 20% of their trading volume executed when everybody was at the inside quote. So it's a real issue in U.S. markets. Doug can speak to whether or not, how frequently people are at the inside quote, everybody here can. All right, so I mentioned this, the orange is where it costs you more than the posted price to trade. The white or light blue is where you actually pay less to trade, pay less for liquidity. So again, lines longest here where it actually charge liquidity demanders. Lines shorter here where you actually get kickbacks if you're a liquidity demander. And then just, oh, by the way, you get, if I'm an investor and I'm deciding where to send my order, I'm going to take into account both the rebate and the probability I get my order executed. Okay? Now maybe some unscrupulous brokers out there are going to say, well, gee, I really don't care. All I have to do is display my order price. That's what the limit order display rule says in the US. So I can set it anywhere. If I can set it anywhere, where might I go? Direct Edge was the venue, at least during our sample period, that offered the highest liquidity rebate. Okay, so that's going to be the tension we look at. For people that are not responsible for the fees and or rebates that they generate, you have a broker. You could have an honest broker, you may have less than honest broker. What kind of costs are going to be imposed on the end investor when a broker chooses maybe to harvest rebates rather than to think about relative Q links, okay, and timed execution and stuff like that. So that's basically the setup, right? Good. All right. One of the investment, so does the buy side care about this, at least in the US as of 2009? We are concerned that brokers may refrain from posting limit orders on a particular exchange because it offers lower liquidity rebates than other markets, even though that exchange offers the best possibility of an execution. Okay. Practices such as these may harm investors because their limit orders may not be executed. At the same time, it's unclear if the benefits of the liquidity rebates are passed through to investors. Okay. Goldman Sachs internally was distributing this type of stuff. This is circa 2010. Exchanges whose fee structure discourages non-marketable and encourages marketable orders have shorter Q links, which we saw on the first slide, and more marketable flow, which, again, why? Because the market orders get paid. As a result, non-marketable limit orders placed on these exchanges go faster. The finding that higher fees are associated with higher fill rates creates a dilemma for some smart routers. Optimize order placement to minimize fees or maximize fill rates, and that's tough. Okay. Now ours is, so part of these last two slides is to show you this generalizes to an institutional world. We weren't able to get any institution order routing data that was very good. So the focus of this paper is on the retail. So in the US, on a quarterly basis, the brokers have to publish non-directed order flow where they route. Okay. And so that's why, even though a lot of the stuff I've shown you so far is institutional, the focus is going to be retail because we're able to make stronger conclusions. So why might it matter? Just so we're all on the same page. Pudgy's Chicken was my favorite stock when I was at NASDAQ that went out of business. So suppose both Pudgy shares of Pudgy's exchange shares trade on in inverted. When I say inverted, it means they pay people to come take liquidity. Okay? And they also trade on a high fee venue like Direct Edge, EDGX, or NASDAQ. So here, got a limit order displayed at 10 by 200, same thing here. In this situation, where you're at doesn't matter. Okay, so there's going to be sometimes news announcements happen or just order flow comes in and orders are executed regardless of the venue that they stand on. Okay? The executions happen in both places. In this example, each passive investor purchased 200 shares of stock at a price of 10 and then the price fell. What's going to be important for some of the metrics we use later, how would you evaluate, at least in the short horizon, how the investors who were sitting right here, how would you evaluate whether or not their execution was good or bad? Now, some people would say, gee, you have to go years and years out because that's their whole holding horizon. Right? For us, we're going to say, no, we're going to look some point in the future, maybe 5 minutes, maybe market close, maybe close a couple days later, and evaluate how did the price at which the passive investor traded compare to some forward-looking price benchmark, so paper profit. In this example, both venues executed the price growth through. In this example, on paper, both investors realized a loss, at least over the short term, of 50 cents. Sofianos, Goldman was the first place I saw this, calls this a bad fill. Price moved against you using some forward benchmark, price benchmark. In the US, this is codified. You multiply this by 2 for a round trip trade, that's called the realized spread. Okay? Just And the SEC back in 2000 started requiring venues to post, executing venues in the U.S. on a monthly basis have to publish this number and a lot of other different numbers. Okay. So again, realized spread for the liquidity provider will be negative when the market moves through the order. That's going to be called, at least locally, a bad fill by us. All right. So, moral of this story, in stocks with sufficient intraday volatility, standing orders will execute regardless of the venue in which they rest. Therefore, there's no cost to routing to the high fee venue. Why not collect the rebate? Here's a situation where we didn't know how empirically important this would be. Imagine that, again, those two orders are still resting on the book. Joe in South Bend places an order, a market order to buy 200 shares, and he goes to the low fee venue, right? And then the price of pudgy subsequently rises. So all the volume at a price point didn't trade. Some did, price moves up. Price moves up, if you're on the high fee venue and you know what's going on, it's like, doggone, I wish I would have been on the low fee venue. It would have caught the fill. Okay. So, price of pudgy subsequently rises in this example. Order on the inverted venue executes, this thing either gets canceled or gets buried on the book. For the purpose of this example, let's just assume the price closes at 10.10. So we're going to compare, this guy bought stock, the guy resting on the inverted venue bought stock at 10, price appreciated. He got a good fill. On paper, earned 10 cents. Okay. The order resting on the high fee venue missed out on the good fill because of where the order was reflected. If all volume at a price point always executed, there would be no difference, right? And so what we're going to be looking at and why fee structure matters is how frequently is it the case that some volume executes at a price point, but not all the volume. Okay? And so that's going to be this situation. As I mentioned, on paper, the profit is 10 cents per share. Again, convention in the U.S. is to multiply that by 2. Call that a realized spread. That's what you would have earned on a round trip trade. Why by 2? So that you compare it to the quoted spread. Okay, there was a debate back in the late mid-90s as to whether we should look at halfway or one trip, one side or a round trip and round trip one. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. Okay, good fills, bad fills. If fees, rebates are retained by the broker, it may be revenue maximizing for the broker to maximize rebate revenue rather than limit overfill rates. This statement here was made by 2 former chief economists of the SEC, Larry Harris, who's got a textbook some of you may be aware of, and at least we are in the States, and Chester Spat was one of the more thoughtful chief economists we have. And it all comes down to if investors aren't fully aware of what's happening when the broker routes and can't associate the outcome with the routing, why wouldn't you just do it? Okay? And so that's what we're looking at. So, in the paper, we look at these things called 606 filings that show where brokers route orders. And if I have time, I'll show you 606 filings for 2 institutional brokers in the U.S. Okay, from first quarter 2016, just so we can see what's going on. They do, so these 4 brokers, Ameritrade, E-Trade, Fidelity, and Scottrade, do order routing in such a severe manner that you can make assessments as to whether they're optimizing execution quality. So if I just gave you a league table as to where I routed orders, how would you know what kind of trade-offs I'm making, right? So there's a trade-off between am I going to execute, rebate, and all that kind of stuff. These guys were routing all of their marketable orders, okay, to Citadel, wholesalers, and all of their standing limit orders to the venue that offered the highest rebate and had the highest take fee. We made a little bit of assumption. There's some assumptions making to this assessment. Senator Levin in the hearings got the Ameritrade guy to admit that that's exactly what they did. So they're logical assumptions we had to make to get to this claim. And what's interesting is Fidelity was routing the retail orders to kind of harvest rebates, but apparently on the institutional side, they routed the orders in a much more nuanced way that would be consistent with how you would route if you understood the relationship between where you put your limit orders and rebates. Which surprised me a bit. Of all the four that Levin could have gone after, why he went after Ameritrade rather than Fidelity, given that Fidelity was doing two different actions for sophisticated and unsophisticated clientele, kind of surprised us a little bit. All right. So we established in the paper how we were able to make assessments about people's routing. Next, we examined whether or not this type of routing is going to diminish execution. We're going to do it two different ways. This paper would never have been written without the cooperation. And I plead, if an academic if you ever feel benevolent, go to an academic and say, here's some data. A major investment bank who I think was pissed off at some people gave us data. He knew exactly what we were going to find. Okay, so this was a guy who understood routing, gave us the data, and we signed an NDA, and we were able to establish. So that's what I'm going to show you today is our analysis with those data. Now, one way we got beat back by people as we presented the paper was, yeah, that's institutional orders. Retail orders are different. Surprisingly, none of the retail brokers were willing to give us data, and we used other data sources to show that probably the story I'm showing you today holds. Right? And that's one of the nice things. The result is so strong that if you use the public SIP data in the U.S., it comes out almost too good to be true. Right? So if you look only when trades happen, when everybody's inside, you're going to find the higher is the fee, the worse is the execution quality for standard orders. With one exception, and it's the New York Stock Exchange. And we can talk about why that. And that's the fun thing about research. We had no idea why that was, but then as you present, you come to find out why that is. Okay? We can talk about that afterwards if you care. All right. So my presentation is going to focus on something that I think is kind of easy to see, and it gets to the point across. We call it Horseraces. So the nice thing about the router that generated the data I'm about to show you is often it's the case they would place a similarly priced passive order on two different venues. When that happens, we're going to start a horse race. And we're going to watch to see how the market responds to the display data. Which one executes first, and what types of conditions do they execute. Going back to the beginning of the talk, if they both always execute really close to each other, there's no reason to even have this talk today. All right, so we're going to be looking for, we're going to look to see whether or not it's often the case that limit orders become isolated. They're on a venue, high fee. This is just background about. Interestingly, when we first circulated the paper, we had statistics on the hidden orders, and that's what some of the major investment banks in the U.S. found most interesting in how these guys were placing that order. So we quickly pulled that out of the paper because that wasn't the point. We didn't want to piss off the data provider, right? So our analysis is going to only focus on display. All right. So again, we're going to look same symbol, same price. At the very beginning, we required both orders to kind of arrive at the same time. We backed off that a bit. It doesn't matter. So I'll explain to you why it doesn't matter which exchange got the order first in a horse race in just a few minutes. We didn't check that, so don't bother you. So we're going to declare a winner. Did you trade first? And then we're also going to evaluate, was the fill a good fill or a bad fill? And we're also going to look at realized spreads. So we also look we look in the paper at timed execution as well. So those are going to be the metrics. And then the data provider said that if both orders are filled within half a millisecond, it's a tie. That's ad hoc and arbitrary, but we did it, and that's the way it is. So, what I'm going to present today, this is a fee differential. Direct Edge charges a take fee of 30 cents per 100 shares. direct edge A during our sample period gave a rebate of 4 cents per 100 shares. The difference is 34 cents, okay, for liquidity demand. We have fee differentials in the paper that range from, I think, 44 cents to 1 cent per 100. Okay? The bigger is the difference between the take fees on the two venues, the more stark are the results. Okay, that's in the paper. I'm not going to show you that today. We're holding a trading system constant, direct edge, same platform. This is before they were bought by Bats. Okay? What you'll see, 815 times during the 2 months that we have data, an order was first reflected on direct edge X, and then subsequently a similarly priced order was displayed on the inverted venue. As soon as both orders are displayed, a horse race starts. In this top row, the high fee venue got the order first. The bottom, these horse races, the low fee venue got the order first. You might argue that your router is going to do that in certain different conditions, which is why we break this up. You might expect, although you would know better than me, to see more often at the case that it's reflecting on a high fee venue before the low fee venue. What's important for our analysis, though, as you can see, this is just unconditional. Both fill 80% of the time. The first venue fills, 79.26. So the first venue's fill rate's a little bit higher, but not much, than the both fill. That tells you the order reflected on the high fee venue is only executing when this one executes. Almost 100% fill rate for the order reflected on the low fee. Okay. And again, you should be thinking it must be the case that there's lots of liquidity at a price point for the router to conduct this horse race. Right? So these are special conditions in which these are being done. Okay. But again, in our paper, all we had to do was showing that routing everything to the high fee venue is not optimal. How hard is that? In fact, that was a fear we had when we wrote the paper. So like any idiot knows you can't do this. Luckily, we didn't run into that problem. So again, the fill rates don't seem to matter, aren't that different depending on who gets the order first. 79, 78, 99, 99. All right, who trades first? 20% of the time there's a tie, both execute. Okay. There'll be no difference in limit over execution quality in those circumstances. 77% of the time, again, it doesn't matter who got the order first. The low fee venue, 1, 3%, 1%, the high fee venue. Now, why would the high fee venue win? Lots of different. One hypothesis we had that we couldn't push too hard was maybe there was an expectation of non-displayed liquidity. So maybe we went different ways. So, the horse race, but you could be sitting there going, yeah, okay, so edge A, inverted venue wins, but we already know 77% of the time they both fill, so what does it matter? But remember, the orders reflected on that inverted venue are getting a fill rate that's 20% higher when a horse race being conducted. So let's see the economic importance of this. The good fill ratio. Just if you look at the good fill ratio that's published by Citadel or Direct Edge as compliance with the 605 data, it's all less than 50%. Why? In general, orders standing on exchanges only trade against directional order flow. Because again, all the non-directional stuff's internalized. So the first striking part of this, the fact that these numbers all exceed 50% tell you that the place where we got our data is the order router is managing some of that adverse selection risk. Okay. Now, you'll see that Edge A, the inverted venue, has a good fill ratio of 58%, Edge X 54%. The difference is bigger when Edge A got the order first. So the good fill ratio, which isn't economic, it's a percentage, is telling you you're more likely the price moved in your favor if you were on the low fee venue than on the high fee venue. difference between the realized spread, which is at mark to market your position after a trade. If you looked at the difference between, so remember, when the low fee venue has a higher fill rate, those are all good fills because the price didn't run through the price point. Right? So it has to be a good fill, at least measured over some horizon. So this result, the fact that the realized spread that liquidity providers earn more when their orders are displayed on a low fee venue shouldn't be surprising. Okay? And so it's 40.0043 cents per share higher than the realized spread generated by orders resting on a high fee venue. So the realized spread is a metric that is going to capture, so if limit order execution quality is the same, there should be no difference. If orders are submitted to venues under the same types of conditions and limit order execution quality is the same on both venues, the realized spread should be equal. Okay? So to the extent you think you send comparable order flow to different venues, you can look at the realized spread, and if the differences are large, you can. The higher the realized spread, the more advantageous are the conditions in which orders execute. We weren't the first to kind of cite this. When the SEC required venues to start to publish the realized spread in 2001, there's in an accepting proposal or accepting rule, there's a paragraph. You can look to the paper we cited. Okay. This, through the review process of the academic journal, convincing one of the two referees that this was a reasonable metric took some time. In the paper, we have an example. We wouldn't call it theory, that kind of does a little bit more tightening our hands to kind of show this, but that's the intuition. Some of you guys that see the fees and rebates that your orders generate are going, yeah, okay, so the fill rate, the good fill ratio is a little bit higher on the low fee venue than it is on the high. I'm not willing to pay to reflect my orders in. That's fine for you. But if your broker charges you a fixed rate, all of a sudden they're supposed to be maximizing execution quality. Right? The trade-off is execution quality. Fees aren't supposed to play in it, at least in the US. I don't know how it is in Canada. Okay? So here is one institutional, well, good job dumbing this up. In fact, I'm not going to show the next one because it's self-revealing also. My bad. I was trying to dummy stuff up to protect the innocent. This one's fine because this one's doing a good job. Goldman. All right? First quarter 2016. We don't know that this is optimal, but we do see that they're routing limit orders to the inverted venues. Is that percentage right? Who knows? It depends on how often are they trading SiriusXM, Bank of America, right? It depends on lots of things. The brokers that we identified in the paper did none of this. All of it went to the high fee venue, all their limit orders. So the bar we had to cross to conclude the brokers were doing a poor job was low. Okay? Now, on the slide I'm not going to show you, the limit orders, 80% of the orders on the next slide are routed to the three venues that charge high take fees, and they route none to inverted venues. And this is a major investment bank. Okay? First quarter 2016. Okay. So there are still, in your space, at least in the US, people that are not utilizing the inverted venues. Okay. Everybody's going to shut their eyes. Boom, boom. All right. God, how come it's self-revealing? Their dark pool gets a lot of their order flow. That's the thing I didn't catch when I was doing this. All right. So our paper provides evidence that brokers who do not pass fees, rebates on to customers cannot have it all. Maximizing liquidity rebates doesn't obtain best execution. Why might you maximize liquidity rebates? Because the end user doesn't know that routing has an impact on what's happening, so they don't leave you. Okay. That's a key assumption. Policy prescriptions to retail investors. The SEC did come out with something last year where they're a rule proposal where maybe the retail brokers should have to publish execution quality metrics on a monthly basis. Bill Alpert, who knows who he is? Anybody? Writer for Barron's, best broker rankings once a year. 2 years ago, heroically, he tried to use the 605 and 606 data to try to link to evaluate our execution quality. He failed. He got an F, but he did the best you could. Right? Wouldn't it be nice if we're going to require exchanges and wholesalers to publish these statistics? Why not require the brokers they already get it on a monthly basis? Then we can identify like brokers and make comparisons. In the institutional space, we became, after our paper hit, there were some people out there that said, gee, this is worse than the institutional horizon. They said, fine, get us data. We ended up talking to major, big buy side. They all said, we think what you're doing is interesting. We're going to do it internally. Now, these guys were so big that they were able to get the data they needed to analyze to do this. As you go down that food chain, you don't have access to these data in the U.S. Okay? This guy, Jeff Alexander, who is worked for Tab, but now he's at a different place. I forget the name. Some Babelfish or something like that. He's been going around trying to get these data, and you're asking the sell side to do something for nothing, okay, and then make his job easy, which I understand why you don't want to do that. One of the proposals of the SEC is that you require institutional brokers to kind of have these data available. Okay, I think that's where, of the two that may go, I don't see why there would be a problem with the retail side. I can see reasons why this might have some issues. And so I didn't really know how time was going to go today. I'm going to be done about 10 minutes early if there's any questions. Okay, you can see the paper. The basic message is, though, at least in the U.S., if you look, it's frequently the case that there's multiple people that gets on a venue. In those situations, the higher is your fee, the worse is performance of standing orders. Another thing that we were asked to do, if in the realized spread you can build in the rebate. So suppose you're a self-directed investor that gets the fees and rebates. You could ask the question, suppose you look at the rebate, the realized spread net of fees. Is that equal across venues? Right? Has the marginal investor made that equate? No. So even if you look at that, you get differences that line up. Now, if you look at that measure, so performance net of fees for the data generated by the smart order router, that's low. So the smart order router is making the trade-off, right? We will in some circumstances take the higher rebate and maybe get a little slippage in fill. But in other instances, it's worthwhile to jump to the front of the queue in terms of performance and pay the liquidity fee to jump the queue on the inverted venue. So, and that was kind of nice to see. So when you see that in the private data with the public data, it doesn't work. Any questions? Yes?
I'm interested in knowing, so do you think that institutional clients are better off in a world where, let's say, they can direct their brokers to post converted for them and do talks and so on, and perhaps beat out market figures and so on? Or do you think it's better to go to a world where there's no make-take, there's no rebates, there's no fees?
So I'm different than the host. And you can look at my testimony, the written testimony. I think that at least with make-take fees, you see what the fees are. My fear is if you do away with them, they go to ownership stakes, or they go to other non-trade. Think about how it was in the 90s for people old as I am. Right? You had no clue what the fees were on the New York Stock Exchange. Right? At least now you know what they are, and you can evaluate the issue. If you get rid of this stuff, you're going to push it to the shadows. Good luck with that. So that's my view.
So the main institutional pushback of all brokers have conflicts of interest, therefore we should eliminate them. Would you be of the opinion that instead of eliminating, we should probably manage them better and take advantage of the structure?
Yes, you would like to have a world, which apparently is not in Canada, where if you ask your broker something, they respond and allow you to evaluate. I'm quoting a comment letter written by Jenny Drake in response to. I worked with her in full disclosure at NASDAQ in 1998. She's really bright. But that's who I'm quoting. Yes, sir.
Hi, my job as Scotia is to look at posted orders and figure out where people are taking. So I've seen a lot of the results that you've mentioned in your paper in Canada. My one question is, there are some features in the market where that is not fee-driven. I mean, posting, like if you want to get filled quickly, fee is one of the primary driver of how you get filled quickly. But there are also other, other reasons, like, sometimes people will post on the TSX regardless, sort of take from the TSX regardless, and then you will miss them. You mentioned earlier that you have an exception with NYSE. Can you go a bit deeper on that?
So if you look in the public data, NYSE has much greater percentage of good fills than if you look with the smart order run. It took us a while to figure out why. Well, it turns out the reason why is the NYSE allows the DMM and the floor to trade at parity. So whenever the book gets thick, they can step up, and our conjecture is, and they won't give us data to look at. They were big fans of our paper at first until we went back and asked for data to explore this issue. The conjecture is that you're oversampling in these states of nature, and that's why New York. So if you look at the realized, our experience, the realized spread for the the investment bank's data, if you look at the relationship to an execution quality and fees, it's monotonic. If you look at the public data, it's not. With the New York Stock Exchange doing almost as well as EDGX, which was the most aggressive inverted venue. We think it has to do with trading at parity, but we haven't. That's something I'm trying to push on with order book data from New York, but it's kind of ugly, and you have to make some assumptions to get there. So that's one of the things we're looking at.
But that disappears once you look at the parity.
Yeah. So if you look at the order, the smart order router data, it's monotonic. It's cool.
Hey.
Most of my questions was the last question, but I have another one. Conflict of interest, financial conflict of interest, which is what we have here when exchanges have gone public and all this will continue. How can you get rid of it in true fashion when a business is there to maximize their profit and minimize their costs? So it's a symbiotic relationship. Can we, in the buy side, actually do something about this fundamental business point of your business? You are going to, all else equal, go to where the costs are lowest and margins are higher. All we how do they ever, if you keep the system the way it is, how does it ever get solved? All we would be doing is turn back and forth.
Even in a world where every broker was like the Pope, if you had different make-take fee schedules, there would be different market shares. And so back when the SEC incorporated ECNs in the NASDAQ quote in '97, they made the decision that you had a business model that made money by charging tolls, the ECNs, the order books to run on them. But back then, there were no such thing. The SEC made the decision that rather than incorporate that fee into the quote, they were going to allow them to charge a toll. And that was '97. Why not incorporate it into the quote? Then you've got all this penny jumping concerns, which Larry Harris has written a lot on. So I guess my view is you have to unless you're going to mandate everybody charge the same two-sided fee, make equal take. I don't know how you're going to get rid of conflicts either. You're going to have bad dentists. You're going to have bad, it's just being aware and being able to monitor. And that's why I would think if you kind of just gave people the tools. In something else I've been involved with, I was amazed at the steps one major investment bank took, major buy-side client bank took to make sure they weren't getting screwed. And they were able to call bullshit on a dark hole that started doing bad stuff to me. So the buy side the bigger is the buy side, the more power they are to pick this up. So to me, what you want to do is reduce the cost, and allowing the buy side to do a little bit of homework. Would be my answer.
So, to answer Diana's question, I mean, we proposed like a very simple solution to this. It's more a regulatory solution. Is really to mandate all fees. To take away that conflict, mandate that all fees basically get passed back to the end client. So essentially, you go to a cost mandate that you go to a cost plus model.
So that all the order flow then goes to the inverted venue.
Well, then no, it doesn't necessarily go to the inverted venue.
Fill rates rise.
It doesn't necessarily go to the inverted venue. The buy side can then make the decision in consultation with the sell side on whether that priority is important enough for them to pay that.
Suppose the buy side doesn't know.
Well, that's when our job's going. Now you
Okay.
But now
But you
take-
still require the buy side to be informed about stuff.
Absolutely, but because now you've taken away that conflict of interest, where we're now no longer incented, the sell side no longer incented by any of the monetary means, it's really just doing the absolute best execution for your client.
I think the investment bank that gave us data would differ with you. I mean, if you're responsible for fees and rebates, you're not going to write anything to them for venue, but you have to know that your broker, so your broker gets commission every time he does that, it's going to get a fill. So if you don't know enough to watch what your broker's doing, passing fees and rebates through. So the two former chief economists make this, they make exactly what you say in their, what's Trading in the 21st Century, Chestnut, Angel Harris Spat, nice piece if you've not seen it. They make this claim, but if you think a little hard about it, you're still requiring the buy side to know something about their brokers. Because otherwise, I'm just going to maximize fill rate. You're going to go, great, I got fills. And then you got these small fees mounting up. So,
But that's where you need to have that discussion. And
that's right. But you can have a discussion in this space too, right?
Right. But you're taking away, I guess my answer was more to Anne's question, like how do you take away that conflict of interest? And that's one way how you take away the conflict of interest. And it just, the second part was just more an observation rather than a question. In that chart that you had with Goldman's market makers, on that, I noticed it was like something like 93%
Yes.
That was going to their dark pool.
No, that was their desk, and I think that's a great thing, actually.
Okay, so it's a, sorry.
Because market orders and, so that's my next research project we're working on, is ask yourself, how much would you like to have your limit orders rest on Citadel's books in the U.S.?
Okay.
Use it fired up.
Right, so the 93%, that's basically not sitting in their dark pool, it's actually going to be a cash.
Yeah, because they had a dark, yeah, I believe that to be the case. Now, if you go back and collect, I would, to answer you fully, I need to go back and make sure I didn't make a mistake and redo the forms. But that was my presumption.
Yeah, because if it is actually going to their dark pool, or if it.
I agree. I wave the white flag. You win.
Then
You're
we're
right.
on with this.
You're right. Yes, sir.
Well, that was kind of a related question, is that did you look at routing through dark pools in your data? And
We've tried to get data. So because of the research question we asked, dark pool routing was stripped out of the data that we got. And so one of the things as an academic, we got a lot of mileage out of the proprietary data, but a lot of things were stripped. How do we know the results weren't just managed? And so that's the nice thing about having the results corroborated with the public data set. It's more coarse, but you get the same directional kind of results, would be my response.
And your realized spread was like what kind of timing tool did you use?
So in a perfect world, you'd like to ask each investor what the holding period is, and that would be what you would use. We use 5 minutes. But as you start to, as you reduce the post-trade benchmark, you get sharper statistics. They're more well-behaved. And as you lengthen it out, it's much more noisy. And so we went 5 minutes. One of the reasons, and I'll wave the white flag here, the longer is the horizon, we expect a bigger would be the result. The more the cost of missing out on a good fill would show up. One of the, Larry Harris, we think, was one of the two referees on this paper. He kept pushing to get us to measure realized spread in 1 second, 5 seconds.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
But-
If you robust the stretch around the spectrum.
Yeah, as you reduce it, you get the order, and it just kind of, it's certainly horizon dependent. Talked with the guys, Doug, a little bit earlier today. Maybe in a perfect world, you would use implementation shortfall, right? But then you need to know, we have a discussion on this in the paper too. Do the retail investors cancel and replace? Do they cancel and leave the market? A lot of that matters. We had to punt on all that. But again, the routing was so severely bad from the perspective of the standing limit order guy. One last thing. My whole career, if you look, is Robert's a payment for order flow supporter. My whole career. Why? It's on the marketable side. You get the immediate execution. You don't chase price. Commissions have fallen like crazy. Any discount broker in the U.S. sells order flow. Right? There's occasionally a pure guy. The person's doing it for marketing reasons. This would be the first instance where harvesting rebates doesn't flow through to the investor. Why? It's exactly when I miss out on a fill that was good because you routed me to the high fee venue that I don't get to pay that low commission. So there's no pass through.
One last question.
Yep.
So in the fullness of your orders,
What do you think the percentage of commodities that markets converted on versus broker, dark pools, and wholesalers? What are we looking at here as far as percentage of total volume?
So roughly 15% of the volume is internalized. 25% of the volume is executed in dark pools, and the rest is open. If my stats are right. And you just can't give anybody to give you, so Jeff Alexander at Boston, one of these Boston management group, big, reasonably sized, he's been able to get them to agree to let him publish some results he has on latency issues in dark pools. He's the only guy I know that's been able to release anything with regard to dark pool. It's impossible. The SEC has the data, a couple of SEC guys are looking at it, that'll never see the light of day. So it's just really hard.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, guys.